So basically today what I want to do is, number one, I want to go over what are the possible answers these sellers can tell you
Okay, sir.
when we're going through the script. But the number one
Mm-hmm.
thing we have to realize is that most of the people, okay, that are interested, they're the ones that we are looking for, right?
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
obviously, the first indicator would be their answer to our first question,
Mm.
okay? Um, and moving forward, for all the ladies that are calling, we use one universal name, Sarah, and for the guys, we use Tony. So
Okay,
when you're
sir.
calling, you'll act as if you're Sarah, okay? So
Oh, okay,
so
sir.
just say you're Sarah. Don't say your real name. So this
Mm.
way, everything's universal, and then it's easier. Otherwise we have to keep track of who called the seller, and that it's not necessary. We want to make it as simple as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So just say that you're Sarah. And then
Mm.
obviously the first question is very straightforward. We just ask them, we buy houses with no cash, would you consider a cash offer for your home? And
Okay.
then if they say yes, what kind of offer will depend on how much or maybe. Oh, these are all interest indicators. It means that they might be interested
Yes, sir.
or they are very interested. We don't know yet. But most of the people who are not interested will give you answers like this: not yet, or later, or next year, or they're just not selling. I'm not interested,
Mm.
or they just hang up on you. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So if they say they're not interested, just say thank you for your time, have a great day. So this is very straightforward. And
Mm.
8 or 9 out of 10 will tell you no, straight up. And only 1 or 2 will give you either yes or how much or maybe or what kind of offer
Mm.
or not yet, later next year. So if they say, the time frame is not now, any kind
Mm.
of answer in that respect, we just answer these. Okay, I can understand. When should I call you back again to give you a cash offer? And then just finish up, the script. Basically, we're trying to find out when we can call them back.
Okay, sir.
So if they say, I don't know, just call back some other time, we want to make sure that, we get a time frame first. Okay? But today I just want to focus on what if uh, they come across as someone that might be interested. Okay?
Okay,
So
sir.
basically, after this question, if they answer these responses, then we ask them, if you did decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for? And the reason why we want to ask that is, if they were to say maybe, we want to make sure that they really have thought about selling before, because most people don't just wake up one day and tell us that, okay, I'm going to sell it today, or I'm going to sell my house today. Where are they going to move to, right? So it's always a plan that they plan in advance, and we just happen to catch them at the right time where they're considering selling. Does that make sense? Are you still there? Hello?
Okay, sir. Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Again, sir. I just got some personal trouble here. Can you repeat that, sir? I'm sorry.
Are you using another headset? Because it's not as clear as before.
I missed you. Hello?
Yes, are you using the same headset as before?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't sound very clear now, but anyway, So what I was saying is that when we
Okay,
ask
sir.
them, if you did decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for? It's because we want to make sure that we try to get their price first before we give them our price. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Because we rather talk to a seller that give us a price first.
Mm-hmm.
Our answer to their price will always be universal.
Yes, sir. Mm.
Continue following the script. We respect their price. Okay?
Mm.
But
Yes,
if we come up with the price and they don't like it and they don't tell us, the whole call is pretty much wasted because we still don't know what they want. You know
yes,
what I
sir.
mean?
Yes, sir. Got it.
So basically, I'm gonna
Based on your experience, you really want to ask them first for their price.
yes. So
Mm.
from 1 to 5, okay, 1 to 5 is usually what we call a foundation script.
Okay, sir.
Foundation script means that these are the core information that we need to know. Meaning that if you gather all these information from line 1 to 5, then
Mm-hmm.
at least you accomplish your job for this call. Your base minimum job, I should say. But anything that goes from 6 and beyond, if you don't happen to get it from this call, we'll ask you to find another time to call the seller again to gather those information.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Okay, so from 1 to 5, pretty much, we will first find out if they're interested. If they are interested, what kind of interest do they have? How much interest do they have as far as selling their house? And then we want to gather information about how much they want to sell their home for.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to find out about some details about their house.
Yes.
And then in the end, after they describe their house to us, we offer them a price. And the price is being calculated from Zestimate minus 20K. Do you still remember what it is estimate?
Yes, sir. Is that the same for 0.9?
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir. The other type of calculation, like 0.9, I have to multiply this estimate to 0.9, or
No, so basically, let me show you. If the Zestimate is 980,
okay, sir.
then we just minus 20K.
Ah, okay. So
we asked them, sounds like a great home. Would you consider 960 for your home?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, does that make
Okay,
sense?
sir. Yes, sir. Got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me show you Zillow first. Hold on.
Okay, sir. Excuse me.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. I can see this. Okay.
So for this house, right? You see this estimate here.
Yes, sir.
Usually, when you're using the dialer, when you click on the Zillow icon, which I'll go over later, it will show a Zestimate amount.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we just call it 567.
Okay, sir.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
You don't need to tell them, would you consider, 567, 936.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just if you say it's 567, just minus 20K, which is 547, right?
Okay, sir.
So just ask them, would you consider 547 for your home? Okay. So over here, would you consider 547 for your home? And if they say no, it's too low, then we ask them again, how about 567, which is an estimate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So we use a, minus 20K first. If they're not happy about it, then we just give them the estimate price. But make sure it's only the first 3 digits. You don't need to explain the whole thing, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Because we want them to feel like we're familiar with how we usually make offers. And if you come across as someone that is not really familiar with how we converse in a way that make the sellers feel like we experience, then they're not going to entertain the offers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Don't
sir.
tell them that, would you consider $567,936? Don't say that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just
Okay, sir.
straight up ask them, would you consider 534 for your home? And they say, what does 534 means? 534,000. And if they say no, then we ask them, would you consider 536,000, which is the estimate amount that I'm showing here.
Okay, sir.
You got that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is this part. And then the next part would be, if we try to offer them 2 different prices and they still don't like it, then we just ask them, what kind of price would you consider? Okay.
Okay, sir.
So if you notice that we already try to ask them over here,
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
but most
Yes,
likely, I'll say 70% of the sellers won't tell you this right now. They'll ask you, well, how much can you offer? Okay?
Okay, sir.
And that's why we follow up with this line. Well, before I give you a price, could you tell me a little bit about your home? And they say, sure, what do you need to know? Then we ask them, is it a 1-family or a 2-family? How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms? Okay? They'll tell you if it's a 1-family, 2-family, or it's a 3-family. They'll tell you, the answers that is, based on their actual home. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just write these down. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home? And then we just write these down. And then we ask them, it sounds like a great home. Would you consider, in this case, would you consider 547 for your home? And if they say, no, that's way too low,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
then we
sir.
use his estimate. Then the estimate is 567, right? We just use 567.
Yes,
We ask
sir.
them, so how about 567? Would you consider 567? And if they say no, it's still not too good, then we say, what kind of price would you consider? Okay? So at this point, we should be able to have their house information, house description information, and their price in mind.
Okay, sir.
So basically, up to this point, I would need 3 information. Number 1 information is, what is their first response?
Okay.
When we use the first line, what is their initial response? Did they say yes, or did they say maybe, or did they say what kind of offer, or did they say how much? Okay,
Yes.
you have to
Okay,
write
sir.
this down. So that's the first thing you need to write down when you actually come across someone that is interested.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If the seller says no, I'm not interested, it's very easy. On the dollar, we just put no sell. That
Yes,
means
sir.
they're not selling.
Mm.
But if they give you any type of response other than that, we want to make sure that you put down the initial response. Okay, so if they give you any kind of answers in this regard, then it's considered a seller that might be interested. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the first thing I want to know. Number two thing I want to know is if they do tell you the price when we ask this question, then we have to write that down as well. Okay, but like I said, 70% of the seller won't tell you, this early in the conversation. So we ask them about their house feature and some details. So this way we can also write those down. Okay? So that's number two thing we want to know. Number three thing we want to know is the price. If they don't like our price, what price do they prefer? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So these are the three main things we want to first gather from line 1 to 4. So if you're following the same process, you add a little bit more script. If you change a little bit, then it's fine. But you need to gather those information. What was the question?
What if the seller already gave his or her price? Do I need to offer the sesame?
No.
Okay, sir.
So that's what I mean. If the seller already tell you a price, then we just ask them, okay, great. Can you still tell me a little bit about your home?
Okay, sir.
Is it a 1 family or 2 family?
Okay. Then I jump into number 5, right, sir?
No, you first also ask them about this information.
Yes, sir. After that 5.
So no matter what they do, like I said, when we're done with the first 4 lines, no matter the answers are, as long as they're interested, we need to know about the details of their house.
Okay, sir.
And we need to know about their price. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So, like you said, if let's say if they say yes, I say, hi, my name is Tony. I buy houses with no cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home? They say yes. Then I ask them, if you did decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for? And they say, I want to sell for $900,000. Okay, so what the next thing I say will be, okay, $900,000, great. Could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a 1 family or 2 family?
Okay, sir.
And the reason why they will still answer that is because they know that I need to know more about their home before I can decide if I can give them the offer, right?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So if they say they want $900,000, I'll just ask them, okay, got it, $900,000. Could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a 1 family or 2 family? And they'll say it's a 2 family. Okay, how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms? I have 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Okay, great. On the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home? And they say it's about 7. And I say, okay, sounds like a great home. I need to talk to my partner first about your price, $900,000. If we can give you that offer, would you be able to sell it to us and move out in 60 days? Do you see how I transition the script?
Yes, sir.
It's because I already have the price, so I can skip 3 and 4, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can just go all the way to number 5. I need to talk to my partner first. And then if we can give you that $900,000 offer, would you be able to sell it to us and move on in 60 days? And then if they say that's too fast, then I'll ask them, how soon can you make that decision? And they'll say maybe in 3 months. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the first part I want to practice with you, and I'm gonna give you different scenarios. So you'll be Sarah and I'll be the seller. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's get started.
Okay. Okay, ready, sir? Hi, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
Yes, sure.
Alright. If you decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for?
I'm not sure. Why don't you tell me what kind of offer can you give me?
Okay, so got it. Well, before I give you a price, could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a... okay, so...
Yeah, just continue.
Okay. Is it a 1 family or 2 family?
It's a 2 family.
Okay, got it. How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms?
It has 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
Okay, got it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
I would say 7.
Okay, got it. Also, sounds like a great home. Would you consider getting it for 980 for your home?
No, 980 is too low.
Oh, okay, so got it. How about, oh, I'm sorry. How about 1.1?
1.5?
1.16.
1.1?
Yes, I was confused that 980 would be the exact estimate. Can you repeat that, sir? I'm so sorry.
Okay, so just use 900 for today.
Okay.
900 is the decimal price. So you start with 880 and then use 900, okay?
Okay, sir. Got it, sir. Can you repeat from the start?
So go back to on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, sir. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
I would say maybe 7.
Okay, got it. So sounds like a great home. Would you consider selling for 880 for your home?
No, that's too low.
Okay, so how about 900?
It's still too low.
Okay, so got it. So what kind of a price would you consider?
I would say at least 950.
950, got it. So I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer 950, would you be able to sell to us and move out in 60 days?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Wow, that's good. Nice to hear that, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. So this is the first part I want you to kind of get familiar with.
Okay.
So now let's do the second scenario.
Okay, sir. Hi, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
Maybe.
Oh, if you decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for?
At least 820.
Okay, well, before I'm done, wow, that's great. Could you tell me a little bit about your home?
Yeah, so see, when you ask, could you tell me a little bit about your home, you have to continue.
Okay,
So just follow up. Could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a 1 family or 2 family? Does that make sense?
Okay, so I don't need to wait for their go signal.
You don't need to, because people in New York talk very fast, and you talk a little bit too slow, like compared to our pace. So that's why a lot of times don't try to pause for too long. Otherwise, you might not get a chance.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning.
Okay, sir. Okay, let's start. Hi, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
Maybe.
If you decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for?
At least 650.
Oh my god, 650. Well, could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a 1 family or 2 family?
It's a 1 family.
How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms?
3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
7.
7. Got it also. Got it. I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer 650, would you be able to sell to us and move out in 60 days?
I think so, yeah. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, that is it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're just practicing the first part. Obviously there's more script to it, but I want to make sure that we get the foundation script done and familiar with first. So this way, we can gradually add on extra things to practice with. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So now let's do another scenario. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay, sir. Hi, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
What kind of offer?
Well, if you decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Well, before I give you a price, could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a one family or two family?
It's a one family.
Got it. How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms?
3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
10.
10, wow, perfect. Then got it. So sounds like a great time. Would you consider selling it for 880?
No, I want 920.
That's right. Wow, got it. So, got it, sir. I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer 980, would you be able to
No,
sell
it's
to us?
920.
920, so sorry, sir. Pardon, would you be able to sell to us and move back in 60 days?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Okay. So make sure that whenever they give you the price, you need to have a pen and paper ready.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's very important because you can't just go by memory. You know, that
Yes.
especially when you're using a dialer. You know, during the call, that's why we want the callers to always write down the information and then enter onto the computer, because if there's any minor errors made as far as the price goes, it's gonna affect the whole operation.
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. I actually have a pen and paper here, sir.
Okay, so that's why if you did write it down and when you say something that you thought was wrong, then you need to ask them again. Oh, I'm sorry. How about 920? You know? So you have to correct it. Otherwise, you know, it's gonna affect the whole operation afterwards. Because if the price is not good, then we're not going to, you know, consider it. We're not going to consider calling them. But sometimes it's just a clerical error that you made. That it's not the same answer they gave you. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So make sure that you have to make sure that, you know, the price is correct. Okay?
Okay, sir.
So let's do another scenario. Let's say if you remember. Okay, start from the beginning.
Okay, sir. Hi, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
Where are you calling from again?
Well, as I said, my name is Sarah. I buy houses without cash. Would you consider a cash offer for your home?
Okay, it depends on how much. How much can you offer?
Got it. Well, if you decide to sell, what price do you want to sell it for?
I don't know. I thought you can give me an offer. Why don't you tell me?
Okay, well, before I give you a price, could you tell me a little bit about your home? Is it a one family or two family?
It's a one family.
Got it. How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms?
3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
I would say 7.
Got it. So sounds like a great home. Would you consider selling it for 880?
I guess that price is okay. I need to talk to my wife.
Wow, looks good. Got it, sir. I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer, would you be able to sell to us and move out in 60 days?
Hold on. If they say they need to talk to their wife, most likely they already have a price in mind. So you have to ask again. You have to go on line number 4.
Okay, sir.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes they don't want to turn you away. That's why they're saying that. But most likely they'll have a price in mind. So try to ask them again. You know what I mean? So if you say 880 and I say I need to talk to my wife, then the next one is, got it, you have to talk to your wife. Just curious, what kind of price would you consider? And if they say I really have no idea, I need to talk to my wife, then it's okay. You know what I mean? Then the answer in the end, just say, okay, when is the best time I can call back to check on the answer? Because in the end, we still want to know if they will consider, right? And up to this point, you know, obviously it seems like this person will consider, but they don't know the price. So we did not end up getting one of the most important information that we need. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. So when we encounter situations like this, we need to call back.
Okay, Okay, sir.
And we don't want to just continue calling back without them answering. So we rather have them tell us when to call back. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start from on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, sir. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the condition of your home?
7.
Okay, sounds like a great one. Would you consider selling it for 880?
I actually need to talk to my wife. I don't know.
Okay, I understand, sir. So I'm just curious, what kind of price would you consider?
My wife was thinking about 920 when we were talking about our plan, but I don't know if 920. Would you guys consider 920?
Yes, sir. So, Carissa, I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer 920, would you be able to sell to us and move out in 60 days?
I think so. So why don't you do this? I need to talk to my wife first, and then I'll let you know.
Okay, sir. So when can I call you back, sir?
Maybe call me back next week.
Next week. Okay, sir. Carissa, we'll talk to you in next week. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Good. So basically, when we encounter situations like this,
Okay, sir.
that's why it's a foundation script. The thing we want to know is their initial response. Number
Okay,
2, what we
sir.
want to know is their house detail.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 thing we want to know is their price.
Okay.
Number 4 is how soon can they make that decision.
Okay, sir.
If they say yes to this question, obviously that means they're ready to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
But if they say, I need to talk to my wife, I need to talk to my husband, I need to think about it, or stuff like that, then we automatically ask them, when would be the best time for me to call back and to confirm with you again?
Okay, sir.
Does
Got
that
it.
make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we're using the dollar and we're supposed to put them into different groups,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
people who tell us that they need to talk to someone or they need to confirm again, they need to think about it, we put that into pending verification.
Finding verification.
So that
Okay,
means
sir.
that these people, we need to call them back to make sure again.
Okay,
So
sir.
they're not, really, we're not sure if they're really interested. Maybe if this person talks to his wife and the wife is like, no, I'm not selling, then they're not selling. So we can't deem them as a lead until we verify that they do have intention.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So from line 1 to 5, do you have any questions?
Answer for sir. All clear.
So it's actually very straightforward. Any type of
Yes.
interest. If they stay on the phone with you, obviously they have any type of interest. It's pretty straightforward. And if they might have any type of interest, we always need to find out about some detail about their home. And obviously we already tried to ask them about their price and they didn't want to answer, right? Most of the sellers wouldn't tell you a price they have in mind until they hear a price from you. Does that make sense?
Okay, sir.
So that's why most likely when we ask them about when we propose 2 different prices, then 95% of sellers will end up telling you a price they want.
Okay,
So
sir.
these 2 are just, they are being used as baits just to have them give us a price. And no matter what kind of price they tell you, we always respect that.
Okay,
So
sir.
as long as they tell you a price, we move down to, got it, 980 is the price you want. I need to talk to my partner first. If we can give you that offer, 980, would you be able to sell to us and move out in 60 days? And then if they say yes, I will be ready to move out in 60 days. Then we just continue with number 6, okay?
Okay, sir.
But as long as you gather, like I said, number 1, write down their initial response. Did they say yes? Did they say what kind of offer? Did they say it depends on how much, or whichever initial response they gave you? That's the number 1 thing we want to know. Number 2 thing is their house details. Number 3 thing is what price they want. After we try to probe them and ask them 2 times, and they'll usually finally give you a price after we ask them again about what offer would they consider.
Okay, sir.
And then after that, after we have the price, we ask them if we were to give you that price, would you be able to sell it to us and move on in 60 days?
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So these are foundation scripts, and these are information that we need to gather.
Okay, sir. So, I will have another question, so sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
Just like the older cases, what if the seller just giving a way too high price? Do I need to go on to the script?
Yeah, if they tell you a price that is way too high, also just go on with the script.
Okay.
Let's say if the estimate is 980 and they want 1.2, you
Yes,
still
sir.
go on with the script, because if you notice that from line 6 and on, it's about trying to make an appointment to see the house.
Okay, okay, sir.
And if they're not happy with it, then we just don't call them again to make that appointment. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
We just want to know their availability, and we just want to know if they're really ready about selling. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's why 1 to 5 is foundation script. After you get this foundation script right and you gather all the information needed, then we just move on with number 6, to the end.
Okay,
And
sir.
maybe when you get to number 6, they'll say, no, I don't want you to see my house, or I need to talk to my wife, or I'll call you, or stuff like that.
Okay, sir.
Okay? And another thing is that if they were to bring up, what's your number, let me call you back.
Okay, sir.
Just say that, why don't I call you back? When would be the best time for me to call you back? Because sometimes my cell phone doesn't catch the good signals. You know what I mean?
Okay, sir.
And then if they say, and you just ask them, can I call you back tomorrow? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So if they say they want to call you back, you don't need to answer it. I just say, I can call you back tomorrow. And if they ask you, okay, what's your company name, what's your address, stuff like that, just say, I'm a private investor and I buy houses with all cash. I don't
Okay,
have a
sir.
company. I'm interested in buying your home. You don't need to have a company to buy a home.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? But sometimes they think you're a real estate company or stuff like that. Just say, I don't have a company. I'm a private investor and I buy houses with all cash.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the foundation script, the first part. So we want to break this down. So this way that you're familiar with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is what I want to do for today. And then I'm going to send today's recording to you, and I want you to kind of review first before we move on to number 6. Because you can be super familiar with line 6 and on. You're not going to get to that point if you're not super familiar with 1 to 5. Does that make sense?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.